This is where it all started, some 62 years ago. I was born in Nantlle in North Wales, in a small cottage called Turnpike Cottage. So we were from a family of 8.
One night to be confused, one night to speed up.
One night, it was a party at the university, and the sea was huge. I mean, there was waves like the size of this building, absolutely enormous. Like I'm talking about tsunami proportions. And this guy, who I knew from the chemistry department, just got totally drunk and went down to the front and basically was just swallowed up by the sea and just taken away. And so we had phone calls from all sorts of people saying, can you go out and look for him? So which we did. We walked along the front and these waves were absolutely huge and total blackness. And sad to say, you know, he was lost and he died. But I also remember that vision of that black wave and the sky not coming back. And then I got a really good job with ICI afterwards, and in a big research establishment in Runcorn. And then things were really going great. Then went down to London to a party. And it's one of these situations where there's a crowded room, it really is a romantic story, a crowded room, and I'm sitting, well actually standing by the table of drinks one end, and suddenly, who should be framed in the door as she walks in, but the girl I'd met last year. She was tall, and everybody else in the room just seemed like midgets, and our eyes met across the crowded room. And I really sort of fell head and heels in love with her. Went down the following weekend, and I noticed something really, really special about this girl. At the end of the weekend, she said to me, have you got something to ask me? I thought, oh, that's a strange question. So I said, yes. I said, Newch chi priodi fi? And she said, yes. So I said, how do you know what I asked? She said, I guessed. You asked me in Welsh, will you marry me? That's amazing. So, cut a long story short, we got married 8 months later. When I look back in my life, there were a number of landmarks which all pointed to the fact that there was something or someone having an influence in my life. Here I was, married this beautiful girl in such amazing circumstances. I was doing a PhD course, and I've got this fantastic job, and I thought, well, you know, something's going on here. And so I looked for the Lord. How it came about was, in my office, and I worked for ICI, a guy came and he was asking me about my beliefs, and I said, well, I believe, I suppose, don't go to church, but I believe in certain things, I believe there's a God. He said, well, why don't you go to, there's a church in Chester, and there was a Dutch pastor called Brother Andrew, and one of his colleagues is coming to Chester. Why don't you go and listen to what he has to say? So I went, and he said, well, I can't speak to you now. He said, this is during the service. He said, we have a communion service afterwards, but if you want to wait for me in the back room, then that's fine. I'll see you then. So, oh, great. He said, in fact, they're showing some shots of what they did in their holiday camp. Oh, that's interesting. It's in North Wales. Oh, that's interesting. Come from North Wales. I'll go and have a look. Yeah, so I went, sat in the back. I didn't want to be too near the front. Watched the slideshow. To my absolute amazement, they started showing slides of pictures around here, around this farm. But to me, looking for a meaning in my life and looking for God, if you like, to see this was such an amazing impact that I just couldn't believe it. And so I wanted to give myself to to the Lord there and then, become a Christian. Here I am sitting in the pew, the pastor comes round, lays his hands on me to become a Christian and prays with me. And as he's praying, suddenly my mind steps back to when I was a student at the university, and I see these huge waves in the blackness, and then a boat appears, and I'm invited to get in this boat. So I get in the boat, and there's no oars, and I get pushed out into these waves. But the amazing thing is, I felt totally secure. I wasn't frightened. I felt there was somebody else in the boat with me. And I kept that in my mind for many, many years, not realising what the significance of it was. Until about 10 years ago, when I got cancer. I suffered cancer twice. Bowel cancer first, and then liver cancer. But on this first occasion, when I had bowel cancer, I was lying in my bed and suddenly realised what this vision meant. That I was going to go through a dark time, but there was somebody in the boat with me. And that somebody was the Lord. And I don't know how people can go through cancer without having somebody like that beside you. So I feel that God has been with me every step of the way, and even though some people might say you're a scientist, how can you believe in spiritual things? Well, it's a different rule book. You find there are more scientists, Christians as a profession, than perhaps anybody else. And I've known Jesus in the boat with me all my life, and he's been an amazing blessing to me, and has given me so much that I can never stop thanking him.